Good morning, everyone. I'm Joanna Trelev, and I'm so grateful and honored to welcome you to another Speak Easy with Love, a space in which we can feel and we can talk about the things that we're feeling with love. And when we join with those intentions, anything's possible and anything can be spoken about and felt and healed. And I welcome today two amazing women in honor and in celebration for the month of moms. We do have Mother's Day coming right around the corner. And I feel really grateful to welcome in these beautiful energies from different spaces of the United States and to hold space and hold each other in the highest and speak about some of the amazing things that we celebrate in motherhood, some of the things that have broken our hearts open a little bit and made us feel and grow. But more than anything, to share with each other what it feels like to be a mom today and parenting this generation of children, and how being a mom has been affected based on the kinds of moms we've had in our journey. So, without further ado, I'm going to share this light with each of these ladies and let them take an opportunity to share with you who they are, how many children they have, and where they are calling in from in our world. So go ahead. Why don't you, one of you ladies, go ahead and take center stage.
I'll go first. So my name is Rebecca. I am a body worker, energy body worker, and I have one child. So a lot of my friends, they always say, "You have it easy." I have one child with 12 personalities. It's not that.
That's awesome.
Well,
And
if that's okay.
yeah,
My name is Mary Catherine, and I'm from Alabama, and I have one child also. And I get the things from friends that have multiple kiddos, and they're like same kind of thing. It's easier, it's different, but much like you, I think I have a kind of wild card baby that just have all the personalities. So it's like more than one.
yeah, and I make up for all of you because I have four children who all have 12 personalities. So you do the math. And I have lots of gray hair and wrinkles, and that represents every bit of worry and frustration and oh my God moment as a mom. And it's it's never a dull moment in my household. Let's just put it this way. This week alone, I have experienced my middle boy going to a music festival and having way too much fun. And then he got to experience going to get his stomach pumped.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah. And those are awesome mom moments because they're young adults, right? They're 22, 23, 19, 15. And they say to me all the things I ever said to them, which was if my kids were ever talking about another kid, I would be like, ooh, that's not your story to tell. Stay in your own lane, honor yourself, right? Mind your own business, be who you are. And so when I worry about my children as adults, they'll say, Mom, stay in your own lane. I'm an adult. I got this. None of your business. And I'm like, what? Right? And that's just one of my children from this week. Just one, right? So, every day I have four of them that are experiencing something at any given time that can be, oh my God, moments. I think that my honey and I celebrate when we have a day where we haven't heard from anyone and all is good. You know what I mean? It's like, did you hear from anyone? Is everyone good? No problems? Okay. So what has your week been like? Just give me a screenshot of your week, like Rebecca. What has your week been like with your little one? How old is your little one?
My little one, she is about to be 11 in July, and
Oh, okay.
homeschooling. And this
Homeschooling. Bless
Yeah,
your
this
heart.
is my first year homeschooling her. I just didn't want her to do the Zoom class structure. I knew it wasn't for her.
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting, because I'll be like, "Are you ready for school?" And she's like, "No." I'm all,
You
this is
gotta
so
wait
much.
until I don't have coffee in my mouth before
I
you say
know,
that.
sorry. She goes, and I'm like, "This is so much fun. You have mom right here." She's like, "No, this is hell."
This is hell, right? Just tell me how you feel,
I know,
right?
just
And
tell me how
because
you
we
feel.
are such emotional, sensitive people, we've given our children permission to be that way, and then it like backfires
Yeah,
on us.
I know. I've learned, you know what? My dad would throw hard punches as I was growing up. So I've learned to take them. So when she throws those punches, I just start laughing.
Bless your heart.
Tell me something I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is your greatest challenge with homeschooling?
My greatest challenge, I guess it would have to be just to get her in that get her started, get her like to just do it, because in her eyes it's like, why do we have to do this stuff? Which is true. It's like,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
I need to learn all this. This is like irrelevant to my lifestyle, what I want to be, She already has in her mind what she wants to be, what she wants to do. And she's like, this is useless to me, mom. And I'm thinking in my head, like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
she's
I
already
know.
11 going on 30. She already has college down already. Like, I'm only going to take the classes that mean something to me,
Yeah. I'll walk in my daughter's room and she's doing what's called like a distant learning. So it is like online, and I'll walk in her room and she's got like a beanie on, so it's like covered half over her eyes, her hoodie on, and she's like leaning up in bed, and I'm like, Gia, and I look and she's Gia, okay, yes, I'm right here. And I'm like, what are you doing? You would need to sit up at a desk. Mom, I can't sit up like that the whole time and just stare at a computer. My eyes, they're tired.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mary Catherine, how old are your kiddos?
Okay, so Ava Claire, she is 4 years
Ava
old.
Claire.
Yeah.
4. Oh, she's a little peanut.
She's
Oh gosh, you've got some joyful stories in there, I bet.
a lot of joyful stories, definitely, and a lot of just, wild and crazy stories, I feel like.
What is the wildest story or the cutest or the funniest? Share one with us.
Let's see, there's so many. She has like just this really big personality, and she has always just been such an expressive child. Her vocabulary, I feel like, is just, it blows me away because I mean, I know I talk a lot, and she's surrounded by people that, talk a lot. So it's probably only natural that she does too. But just some of the things I'm trying to think, just some of the things that she'll say. I mean, she'll just like really catch me off guard in a lot of moments, and how just, aware she is of everything. And of course I'm drawing blank and I can't think of any like, particular thing, but it's just
Yeah.
all it's just always an adventure with her.
When you ladies found out that you were pregnant, were you prepared? Were you trying to have a baby, or was this a surprise in your life?
We were trying, but not trying. It was kind of like one of those kinds of things. And I was actually, gosh, I don't know, probably maybe 6 weeks or so before I even knew that I was pregnant. I just did not even, it
Okay.
wasn't, I knew it could happen, but it wasn't like something that I was
Yeah.
expecting at any moment kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how about you, Rebecca? Were you expecting this little one to come, or was she a surprise?
Luna was a miracle for me. I had been told for many years I couldn't have children. I had a lot of health issues, near-death experience at 19, and so my body was just not hormonally or balanced, period. It wasn't well. And so I was on a journey of healing, Hence, that's why I love to do energy body work, and that's how I got involved in that. And so when my holistic doctor said, we're going to be preparing you, and one of these days you'll get that news, it was interesting when my gynecologist said, hey, I was 35 at the moment. And no, I was turning 35. I was about to turn 35. He's like, hey, kids, you could try. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
What? What do you mean you can try?
Yeah.
So it was one of those, like, we tried, and that was in July. And so I tried in August. And then in August, I ended up in the hospital with viral meningitis.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
thinking, like, okay, maybe this is a sign, like, no go, no go. But then they said,
Right.
no, we cleared it out. It was a really old virus. And then I
Mhm.
thought, oh, this is God just working in mysterious ways now.
Mhm.
And we tried again in September. And then in October, we tried again. And then it was funny. Like, I just knew it was the weirdest thing. Like, I remember I started eating a lot of sunflower seeds all of a sudden. I never eat
Ah,
sunflower.
yeah.
And I was,
Yeah.
why am I desiring sunflower seeds?
Isn't it
And then,
funny how you can crave things that you don't normally eat when you're pregnant? That always
Mhm.
blew my mind.
And it was funny because my family would be like, no, it's, it's too soon. If you are pregnant, it's way too soon. I'm like, but I just knew energetically that I
Yeah.
was. And then the second clue was sloppy joes. I could never eat sloppy joes. Mess up my stomach, like, mess it up. And I remember I was just craving it, and I ended up having 4. I ate 4 of them, and nothing happened to me. And I just knew I was pregnant. I was like, I have to be pregnant. There's just no way
Yeah.
I could just did all those sloppy joes.
Right. Right.
And sure enough, it was funny. I was like, it was just in the back of my mind, and I was waiting and waiting because you have to wait that period to make sure if your period comes or not. And I remember I went to bed, and it was in my mind. And as I was sleeping, I was dreaming about it. And then all of a sudden, I heard
Oh.
a voice come in and said, get up and take the test. You're pregnant.
Mm.
I got up at
Yay.
5 in the morning.
Did you just
It
get
was
the chills, Mary Catherine? Me too.
I got up at 5 in the morning, went to the bathroom, took the pregnancy test, and it came out positive.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
That's a great story. Yeah. And how about you, Mary Catherine? Did you have any premonitions? Did you know, or was it?
No, like I think I just, literally I had just competed in Mrs. Alabama, a different system than what we did this past weekend, and was kind of coming off of all of that. And I was working and just super busy with life. A dear friend of mine had just had a baby. And
Hmm.
actually one of my sorority sisters, we had driven down to New Orleans to see her, and I was pregnant at the time. It was actually this time, like I guess 5 years ago now, that all this was happening.
Wow.
And because the Facebook memories popped up like yesterday.
Yeah. Don't you love those?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, me too.
Times, but yes, and so like I had and like I got home, and on my lunch break that week at work, I just decided to go and buy a test, and I took it. And there it was. Like, sure enough, I was like, oh my gosh! Like I was like totally. You could have knocked me over with a feather. Like, it was awesome.
So you both have named your daughters beautiful names. Is there a story behind their names? Is there a story behind Ava Claire?
Well, okay, so kind of sort of. I had really just wanted, when we found out she was a little girl, I really wanted to name her and give her my mother's maiden name, um,
Mm.
which is Chandler. And
Mm.
but my was like, that's a boy's name. And I'm like, no, it's a surname. It's it's a thing people do in the South. It's a pretty common
Yeah.
thing to do. And he just wasn't loving it, and he was just literally was just naming off double names, which
Mhm.
I threw an Ava Claire, and he just said, "What about Ava Claire?" And I'm like, okay. And so that had a cooler story, but yeah, it just kind of.
Well, it sounds like it was just right, though. That's awesome. Yeah.
Mhm.
How about you, Rebecca? Do you have any, is there anything that's behind the name Luna?
Yeah, actually, I knew the due date was around my birthday, and so I knew we were both going to be cancer babies, and so I was like, okay, so we're both going to be driven by the moon. This is going to be fun.
I
And
just
so
had my first conversation with the moon this last moon, and it was powerful.
yeah. So then I was like, oh, she's going to be a moon child. And it just stuck with me like moon. Oh, okay. And since I'm Hispanic, I'm going to sound better in Spanish, Luna. And so her middle name is Ella,
Beautiful.
Luna Ella.
I like
Because it was like I was trying to figure out what would fit with Luna. And then I used to work as a teacher assistant for kindergarten. So we would read Stella Luna all the
Oh,
time.
okay. Hmm.
And so Stella, I just took away the ST, and so it's Luna Ella. And that's how I got it.
Beautiful. I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and my girls' names are Bella Rose, and my other daughter is Gia Kate. And, you know, I always loved the name Isabella and wanted a Bella. I'm an Italian girl from Chicago, so it just was like, yeah, it was something I always knew. And then my daughter Giovanna, we call her Gigi or Gia, and growing up, that was the name of my nail girl. And I always thought she had the coolest name, Gigi, like what a great name. And so when I had a second chance at it, I was like, she's definitely going to be a Gigi. And I don't think Californians have embraced what I feel as much. I found, I think I know 2 or 3 others that have the same name. And then I wanted to be stoic, so I went with Gia Kate, to give her some sort of, I don't know. My boys are Riley Preston and Dustin Chase. And I remember not really knowing what I wanted to name. I wanted to name my son Preston, and his dad was like, no, mm-mm. And then we agreed with the Riley Preston. So that's been fun. He's done well with that name. Dustin has done really well with his name. He almost was a Dylan. And I remember someone saying to me, oh, we'll call him Dilly. And I was like, oh, no, we won't. Nope, we won't be doing that. Scratch that name off the list. No, we will not. So he became a Justin. So, okay, so here we are, moms, right? And we all share the bond of being mothers to girls. And, were there any ever moments that, as a woman, you really wanted to channel, to share, to model? Is there something specific that you find yourself really trying to teach and embody and influence, even at a young age, with your little girl? What is that 1 or 2 things that you really feel is important that she encompasses and that you are trying to embody?
I think for me, I just really want her to know that while she is a beautiful child, if I do say so myself,
I bet she is.
she is so much more than what she looks like. And she's smart, and she's funny, and she's kind, and she's a hot mess express. And I just want her to know that she's
Hot mess express.
Don't ever want her. I try to focus on complimenting her in ways other than, like her physical appearance. Like I just don't see something that she thinks supersedes any of those other awesome.
Yeah.
And I don't want her to focus like on things like her body image and stuff. And I think that was a struggle for me growing up, and even now as an adult. And it's hard sometimes for me to just, but I don't like even want to talk about it. She's not here right now. She's with her wonderful grand right now. So it's something I don't even like for her to know is a thing to talk about, like, you know, what size you are, stuff like that. I just don't want it to even enter her mind before it has to, because I know it will.
Yeah. Yeah, and that is a big deal. You know, my girls, they're 19 and 15 now, and they've been cheerleaders and dancers their whole life. And they've loved what they've done, but in all honesty, the conversations, like you say, you don't want to have them, but with a sport like that, you have to, because they really have to be mindful of what they're eating and how they appear, because that's part of what they're doing. And I remember, you know, having this joke with my girls, you know, especially because they have two little brothers that want to eat, you know, as much junk and crap and 5 ice cream bars and a whole box of cereal, you know, just for breakfast. And my girls, it's a big running joke. I would say, well, you could always play the violin, because if you play the violin, it doesn't matter. You know, and still to this day, my daughter's like, Mom, you really said that to me. You know how horrible that is? And I'm like, I tried to say it like in a joking fashion, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it is, it's tough, because, you know, you want to be able to have healthy conversations with your children that are not fear centered on eating well and why, and taking care of ourselves. And it's so much more, you know, eating healthy and taking good care of yourself is so much more than just how it appears, but that's a result, you know. And we all know that when we're out of alignment there's other things that come into surface, like how we're feeling, you know, how we're our health is applied, and you know, being able to evolve and grow for us. So it's a unjust to not brave those conversations, and it's easier to have with boys, trust me on this one, because they don't my boys don't have, if anything, they're thin, and they're always trying to like build muscle and be super, you know, buff, and so they're trying to, you know, eat twice as much on purpose. And so to explain that irony between males and females, and let that be a healthy conversation, is no joke. That is not an easy conversation to have. And it's definitely something you want to handle with care, because you don't want to feed or fuel something that could potentially take off like a wildfire and go the wrong way. And as a woman, I think we all, you know, face that at some point in our life, that discomfort of body image, and understanding the prevalence of taking good care of ourselves for X, Y, and Z reasons. And when we don't, you know, so it's real. It's really there, and it's real stuff. And I do agree. You want to handle that with care. Yeah.
Definitely.
How do you feel about that, Rebecca? What is your sort of seed that you like to plant within Luna to just body that you embody and role model?
No, I totally agree. You know, I grew up in a Hispanic home, and I was always super thin naturally, and so is Luna. But I remember not feeling comfortable within my body, because in my household it was like, you don't eat enough, you're skinny, you're too skinny, you're unhealthy. And just being told that, I always grew up thinking I did not look well,
Mm-hmm.
or there's something wrong with me. And because of that, I had a lot of stomach issues where my mom would like try to force feed me. And unfortunately, I have this very unhealthy relationship with food where I cannot have big plates in front of me, or else I get nauseous. You know, and when I have moments where I can eat and enjoy food, it's like it's a big triumph for me. But most of the time I eat like a bird all day, I could only have small plates in front of me. And so with Luna, I did let me know when you're hungry. Trust your body. Let me know. Let your body speak to
Awesome.
you. Let your body tell you when you need to eat. What do you want to eat? I've never been the parent to say, you have to eat this and, oh, it's going to make you healthy or this. I want her to learn to trust herself.
That's awesome.
What is her body telling her? And so I've been able to do that. I could say that she'll tell me like, Mom, why does grandma always tell me I need to eat? She does that to her too. And I say, well, no, thank you, grandma. I'm fine.
It must have been something in their
I'm
generation.
fine. It's generational. Yeah, exactly. And she's so cute. She's all like, I told Grandma, calm down. I'm fine.
Yeah.
And my mom,
same thing. Same thing in my grandmother would get great joy just watching someone eat. And I possess the same trait because I feel like I get crazy eyes when I'm feeding, my kids come home and they're eating and you know what I mean? Like it totally does. I get the same thing. So I'm not sure, that's the whole premise of, feeding people, that's the way we show love, a very cultural thing for Italians as well.
yes.
But it distorts our body images and our healthy chemistries of what we intuitively are hungry for and want, because we're being shoved and channeled food, to celebrate life with, or food to celebrate accomplishments, or, like you said, if someone runs thin or heavy, they're being acknowledged for that presence instead of, their energetic fields. So yeah. That's a tough one in mothering. I think it's as tough as, and I know your girls are young, but you're going to hit this at some point. How are you going to handle how you address sex, and are you going to support sex before marriage?
I'm on that road right now.
What's that sound like, ladies? Mama bears? Mama, how are those mama bears going to handle that one with Ava Claire? Right? I mean, yeah, hold your heart, because let me tell you something. Mine falls out many times. And again, there's a whole irony, because my conversation that I have with my boys is and could be very well different, just like the food with the girls.
Yeah.
And that to me is like, wait, why does it have to be different? So I'm constantly having my own argument with my own self, about how to handle that. So, what are you going to do with that one, Mary Catherine?
Like literally just the thought of it, my heart's like, do. Okay, so the way that I was brought up in a Southern Baptist, Christian home, and it was very much frowned upon to even discuss sex. And I'm uncomfortable even saying this, knowing that my mama is likely to watch this.
Yeah.
You just don't talk about it, and you don't do it before you're married, that kind of thing. And so it's honestly something I don't think about except for in moments like these, when I'm discussing stuff with my friends, if they have that are a little bit older. I don't even I don't want to let my mind wander to that, because it would be something. It's going to be hard for me not to have this saying, well, let's just wait until we find someone that we absolutely love and we marry them and then go from there. But I know that's just not the world that we live in. And so.
No. Was it the world you lived in?
It was not.
No. And so that's the thing. Why do we write, I question this as my girls, I don't, my middle girl is 19, and I wanted to have a healthy relationship with her. And I knew that meant having honest conversations with her. And I was raised, excuse a slanderous words, but you're a whore if you have sex before you get married. And we don't do that. And sex is dirty. And I had, a past with, being sexually assaulted, and we've got, rape running in our family, and things that really created fear and injustice around something that I learned as a woman can be a very beautiful thing. And I had to really undo and peel back all of those hurts and traumas so that I could experience a healthy sexual relationship with my love. And I never was promiscuous, but yet I never allowed myself to experience with things fully because I was so afraid. And who knows what's right or wrong, but what I know is that when the opportunity came to talk with my daughter, and she's getting ready to go off to college and whatnot, I knew that I didn't want her just going off to the abyss without having something honest. And who is going to be more honest than mom?
Right.
But I didn't want to channel all that fear, right? Because I wanted her to be able to have a healthy relationship with herself and with whomever that she felt, she wanted to experience that with, without feeding her promiscuity. Just, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a fine line, and talking about how to, honor yourself and to be selective with whom you share yourself with, and that, sex can be a beautiful thing with a loving partner. And, when you love someone, it changes the way that energy feels. And I mean, when I was having this conversation, she was like, Mom, okay, Mom. All right, Mom. She didn't want to talk about it either. But as she's gotten older and now she's in love and she's in a relationship, she really appreciates those conversations. And we talk about, things that she appreciates in a partner, like, she talks about, affection and, someone caring and thinking about her first, and that changing the way her experiences with them. And I realized the value and the importance of braving those uncomfortable conversations more than just the birds and the bees talk. And sadly, I went through this training most recently. I volunteer at a refuge for women home for women of human trafficking. And so we get lots of training on broad topics. And one of them is, the reality is most children will see their first pornographic picture or video by the age of 8. 8. That's 4 years. 4 years from now, Mary Catherine, 4 years from now. And so, right when my boys were about that age, and that was when the cell phones were real popular, and we were just handing them out to our kids because it was a cool toy to pass out, but they have internet access. And, I had to talk with my boys and just say, that's not how sex is. And I don't want you to think that it's like that, because it's never okay to treat a woman that way, ever. And they're like, okay, Mom, okay. You know what I mean? And so when I speak to my boys, about being a gentleman and about being tender and loving. And, just like you don't want a girl that's been with 20 guys, a woman doesn't want a man that has either. So hold on to your sacredness. And don't be, generous with it to that extent, because, the more you give, the less you have to offer sometimes. Hold on to certain things that are special. And, it's interesting raising boys with that viewpoint, because they're going to be the lovers of our daughters, right? And the daughters are going to be the lovers of our children. That song by John Mayer, be good to your fathers, be good to your daughters. That is like my favorite song. It's such a beautiful circle of life. And it really talks about, fathers, be good to your daughters, because your daughters turn into lovers who turn into mothers.
Mhm.
And then that cycles returns. And it's so true, right? It's so true. But you don't realize that until you start seeing it through the eyes of your children.
Yeah.
So it's always been a tumultuous topic, but prepare yourself, because it's one that I think can really affect their relationships and the way that they view themselves, as much as diet and exercise can.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Even though it's
So
not like out immediately, but yes, you're right.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, and so I think when we have them as young ages, like, I always nurtured the relationship that my children's fathers had with my kids. I would set up date nights and, different experiences for them to have a relationship, to really encourage and help that. And I think those are the early stages in which we're trying to cultivate that mannerism that is healthy between male and female, right?
Right.
And we want to show them that through healthy, honest relationships like the ones that we have with our kids, so that they can hopefully attract that and desire that as they get older, right?
Yeah, and like the
Mhm.
relationship that they see you model, with your spouse or their parent,
Yes.
so much for them. I had my therapist that I love very much. Like we had that discussion several weeks ago, and that's so much part of it, because that's how they'll go into the world and they'll have
Yeah.
their model it after what they're seeing. And that can be awesome or scary depending,
Yeah,
on.
that's such a good point. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Absolutely. And, I think that one of my bravest and most broken out moments as a mom was realizing that I wasn't modeling that. I had a really safe marriage. I always said it was run like a business. We did everything right. We had great parties and good Christmas cards, and we went on vacation, and we had stuff that made us look really branded as a family. 4 kids, a golden retriever, white picket fence, that kind of television, TV ready appearance.
Mhm.
But the two of us were not emotionally available like we needed to be to cultivate those healthy relationships. And it wasn't a destructive or toxic relationship on the surface. So my kids, they just saw sort of like blah.
Yeah.
And I always thought, how are they ever going to learn passion and love? And sometimes, it's healthy to see an argument, because then they get to see two people love each other and work it out too. And there's something beautiful about that as well, because that's life. And if you're always, a therapist shared with me, if you're always only showing perfect, your kids are never going to have the tools they need to survive when life isn't perfect. And that sometimes can be an unjust. So show your kids your emotion, because I never wanted to show them if I was stressed or if I was sad. I was always just trying to be like, okay, come on, right? And my middle boy is autistic. He is high functioning Asperger's. And so one of the things that he needed to learn was body cueing and verbal cues. And we needed to learn together how to really give those those cues, so that he could learn what they were. So for instance, let's say, did your mom ever give you a dirty look at the dinner table and you knew like to sit up straight? You just knew, right? Well, with my kiddo, if I gave him a dirty look, he would have no idea what that meant. He would actually just give it back. Right? So so if he was, playing football and the kids were rowdy and aggressive, he would be rowdy and aggressive. He would take on the temperature of wherever he was without understanding it was there for cueing. So one of the things that I had to really learn in behavioral intervention with him was to express how I felt and why. Like, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to, you know what I mean? Like act like super mom and like everything was great. And so learning to do that and to cry if I was sad, or to say mom's, really feeling overwhelmed today, and share that was very was such a test of vulnerability for me. But it really did help my son, all of my children, really learn how to express, how to be empathetic and sensitive. And now he's 22 and he usually gives me advice on, how to handle his sisters or whatnot, or what, even his dad. And it's so funny because I listen to him and I'm like, huh, well, how do you like that? you know,
I love that.
what kind of things have broken you open and taught you how to, just be more than you probably would on the surface because of, or in spite of, motherhood and being a mom? What sort of opens your heart more and creates that vulnerability for you?
I would say just being an open book to my daughter, because when you said about the sex, I remember I worked at a school and we had sexual harassment forms to fill out in elementary school. And I remember asking one of the girls, like, why do we have these? And she goes, we've had to deal with that within children. And I'm like, what?
Oh my.
Sexual harassment forms. And so because of that, I kind of knew that, oh, I'm going to have this talk with Luna soon. And so I prepared myself. And I remember, I would just kind of give her like simple birds and the bees starting at 8. And she had, even though she was in private school, very loving environment. She's grown up with all those kids since age 3. She had her incident where one of the little boys decided to show himself to her. And
Oh,
she was, why was he doing that,
go and
Mom?
tell.
And I said, you know what? He's exploring his body and he thought it was okay to share it with you, but he forgot that he's supposed to ask permission. A gentleman always asks permission first.
And good job, Mama. Good job.
And and so since then, I just really started talking to her about what it means to have a relationship with someone in an intimate level. And I go, you have to be ready for that one person, but you have to really, really do your work in knowing who you're going to be intimate with. And so I use the analogy of money because she loves money. She loves saving her money. She doesn't spend it. She won't spend it because her goal is to buy a Tesla. So she's saving up for a Tesla.
Awesome.
She has high expectations. And so I told her, I'm all like, your body is worth more than $1 million. Would you give that away to anybody? And she's like, no. Right away, like, no, Mom.
Awesome. Yeah.
And because of the talks that we've been having, there was another incident that came up where my ex-husband, she was with her dad for the weekend, and Mom brought a neighborhood kid, that she thought it would be fun to have Luna play with. And, not knowing his background or what environment he comes from, it's so easy for us to say, oh yeah, let's just let the kids play, but you really need to have that background check now.
Yeah.
And so this little boy was trying to touch her and, wanting her to expose herself. And she's all like, Mom, I said, no, my body's worth $1 million and it's not for you.
Good. Yeah. I mean, and aren't you glad that you had those conversations? Because we just, we can't assume when the time is going to come when they're going to need that value. And you're right. Kids are really exploring a lot at a very young age. And more than anything, we cannot assume I think that was my biggest epiphany, was realizing that not every kid was raised in the same household like I was raising my kids. And
Exactly.
when they come over and they're playing with your kids, you're like, oh, because you the way that they talk, the way that they are, handling your, and every household's different.
Yeah.
And that might be appropriate in their household. There might be things going on in people's households that we might not honor. And we don't
Yeah.
know that until they're playing with our children and stuff like that, that can happen. So that's why it's so important to have these conversations with, our children, because they are going to have a moment in time in which they need to be prepared for it and know how to handle it just like that.
Yeah. And
Absolutely.
so there was another, I just want to share one more,
Yeah, go ahead.
the internet. They get so much through the internet. And thankfully, because since I've had such an open, honest discussions with her, she came up to me like, Mom, why do they always talk about sex? Like sex
Yeah,
this and having sex with so many people, and the songs.
the
And
music.
what?
Terrible.
I'm going to be honest with you. In this lifetime, sex sells. People make a lot of money off of sex, and it's a business for them.
Yeah.
Trying to convince all of you little ones that it's fun. It's let's just have sex with anybody and everywhere. And I go, but you know what? It's not like that at all. And so what I did, I used the analogy that morning. I had just made her a pancake. And I said, you see this pancake? I made this with so much love for you, and I made it perfect for you. It's beautiful. I go, and that's what sex is. Sex is something so beautiful and precious that you do out of love.
Yeah.
Let's imagine this rapper guy showing up at your door. Hey, Luna, what's up? And, coming in and, oh, check this pancake out. You know what? I'm going to do something really cool to it. I go, now he went outside, grabs a pile of dirt, throws it on your pancake and says, eat it, Luna. This is so cool. You're going to love it. And I go, and she's all like, I'm not going to eat that pancake. I go, that's what they're trying to do to sex. They're making it dirty,
Making it dirty.
making you think it's okay to eat that. Would you
Yeah.
eat pancake? And she's all like, no. And I go, don't let these songs convince you that that's what sex is, because that's not what sex is about. And so
It's so true. The music really, I mean, you can't, I find myself listening to a lot of country and worship music these days because the other music is just rough. And two of my boys, they like to make music, and I hear one of them, singing lyrics, and I'm like, why are you going there? And he's like, Mom, that's just how it is. I'm like, no, it's not how it is, And so, yeah, it's a norm that shouldn't ever be a norm. What is it like when you turn on the radio, Mary Catherine? How is that? Are you feeling sensitive to, some of the things that you're hearing and wanting to earmuff Ava Claire?
Yes, I mean, quite a lot. And it's even, which I love country. Like I gravitate toward that. But we also, like to listen to a lot of K-Love in the morning on the way to school. But Ava
Mm-hmm.
loves to dance, and she's been dancing since she was 2. But she really loves high energy dance music.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes we'll be, home and we'll ask, I don't want to say it too loud because I'm afraid she'll come on, but the lady's name that turns on the music in your house. I don't want to say it because literally she'll start playing music.
Siri?
Yes, or, Alexa.
Alexa.
She just some of the music and she'll even say as a 4-year-old, I like to shake my booty, and she'll
Yeah.
and it's cute and it's funny because she's 4, but not everyone would interpret it that way. So like,
No, I remember when my daughter was competing in dance at a young age, everything was
Yes.
and you're just like, why are we doing this? What is that? What is that?
And
But that is the first sort of like interpretation that children are learning about their sexuality. Because when they do that, people respond usually, oh my God, that's so cute, or oh my God, and they praise them for moving their body that way, and then they continue to do it, right?
because it's funny and everything. But
Yeah.
I'm really thankful where she takes dance, where she's been going since she was 2, is a very
Conservative.
yeah, thank you, very conservative studio.
Yeah.
And down to
Good.
the they wear for their recitals.
Good.
That. And so, like, Miss Brooke would never,
Yep.
it's very, I feel very good about it because, yeah, she
Yeah.
naturally enjoying, like, fast, fun music because she's 4.
And they're going to see that on the TV. I mean, I was a dance teacher. I taught littles from 2 to like 6 for a long, long time. And it's all too common and normal to see that like you said, booty shaking and hip thrusting, and it's not as jovial and juvenile like it should be, and our kids, they're receiving so much more than needed, and it's always been a big concern with me. I especially with like fashion, and some of the way that some of the stuff is made to wear. I'm like, why? So yeah, no, I get that. I feel that completely. So okay, think of your thumbprints, right? And to imagine that as moms, we are leaving these thumbprints on our children's hearts. And as we all know, they won't be ours forever. And this gift that was given through us is such a great opportunity to leave some thumbprints on their hearts and on their souls energetically, so that they have some impressions to help them become. What if you could see the thumbprints that are left behind from you on your children? What do you hope is seen and felt? What is your most what's your most important thumbprint that you wish to leave on them, in print on them, so that they can take with them in life and know?
I think for me, it's that she does not need my approval. She doesn't need her daddy's approval, and that no matter what she does, we'll love her absolutely just the same forever and ever because she's ours and she's perfect. When she goes out into the world and she's not with our control anymore, like there's nothing she could ever do that would ever make us love her less. And she doesn't focus on that or worry about that. And she needs to be her own person and make her own decisions and not to worry about it. But
Yeah.
no, but like we love her and she's ours always.
And what imprint was left on you from your mom?
That I do need her approval, and I still seek that very much, even at 33. I care, and I want, which I think that's good too, because we love and respect our parents. And I don't know that my mom didn't do anything, I don't think, to make me, feel that way necessarily. But I care still very much as an adult what she thinks. And she is still very, when I make decisions, I still think, well, what would my mama say? And I don't know if that's like the Southern girl in me or,
Yeah. That was an impression though.
Yes.
She left that impression. Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting how we then choose to parent by our own rights. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
Rebecca, how about you?
Well, for me, it's always, I remember that since the day she was born, I've always taken, since my near-death experience, I always know that life is not predictable how long I'll be here. And so I've always tried to make sure to install in her everything I can if today was my last day.
Mm.
So I had to take a moment.
That is powerful.
Yeah, so I hope tomorrow she will always remember me as a strong mom that had fought for her. And she knows that. She knows the story of her birth. She knows how she changed my world and how she was a miracle. And I want her to remember that she is a miracle. She deserves love. She deserves to express herself. She deserves everything she wants to have in her life.
Mm.
And just to really fight for it and work for it and just never not look for who she can please, because the only person that she's ever going to please is herself. You know, the same thing, you know, we grew up in a different old school, she calls it. She goes, "You grew up very old school, Mom." And I go, "Yes, I agree." You know, we grew up thinking that we had to please other people, or we had to have approval of others. And you know what? The only person that gives you the last approval is yourself. You know, you are the one in charge of the steering wheel of your life. So every choice you make in life, make sure you make the best one. You know, because the only one that gets affected at the end is you.
Mm.
You know, those are the thumbprints that I pray for every night that I'm leaving.
I've always said to my kiddos, I'm right here, not before you and not behind you, but right by your side. And I always will be as long as I'm living. And then when I die, I'm going to haunt you.
Yeah.
I'm going to haunt you. And I mean, because I plan to be with them always. And, you know, growing up, I always felt like I had to, I knew that I was very loved. I felt very loved by my family, but they raised me to be very independent in many ways. And so, always remember feeling alone and like no one was there for me. And so I think as a mom, it's really important for me to always instill that, that deposit with them of knowing that I'm invested in you, and I always will be, you know, as long as I'm living. And once upon a time when they were little, on Mother's Day, and I'm going to share this with you because I encourage you to do this too. I went and bought 4 journals. You will each only need to buy one. And I thought that each Mother's Day, for Mother's Day, I would write inside this journal a letter to them, letting them know what it means to be their mom and what I hope and wish for, what they're going through in the phase of their life, their season and their reason, what it's like to see them through my eyes, and what I hope and wish for them. And the beauty of this is that if you do that every Mother's Day, one day when you're unable to write in that book, they'll be able to find it and read all the things you ever wanted to say. Sometimes we forget because time goes by, right? So if we just make one day a year priority to write in there, it'll add up. And it will be quite an investment of knowledge and information. I, you know, put a good guacamole recipe in there. Every kid needs to know that. And, you know, maybe a few good jokes to say when you're at a party. And no, I'm just kidding. But for reals, you know what I mean? Like, have fun with it, and just know that we have an opportunity to leave some incredible thumbprints on our children's lives and to be maybe what we didn't have, to be more than we ever learned, and to make an incredible impact and difference in their lives. And I think that is the most joyful gift that I receive in being a mom, is knowing that everything I do, and I don't, it's not a sacrifice. I'm so grateful that I get to do it from this space, but everything I do is with them in consideration. I think about how everything I do and choose is going to affect my children. And if any of them at any point were not happy with one of those things, I would have no problem being like, okay, let's talk about that. You know, like they are the only people in my life that I truly answer to and would do anything for. And that feels really good. It's not a sacrifice. It's not a hardship. It's not a burden. It's my absolute honor and pleasure. So I just feel really fortunate to open up my day today in that gratitude and in that light, and celebrating that with two different kinds of moms, from one from Orange County, California to Alabama. And to know that we can come together in this light and in this love, in celebration for motherhood. And as we all know, motherhood is not for sissies. And honor each other. And even though we might not know each other in our everyday, we can come together in a place of knowing, because of what we've experienced and what we choose to do moving forward with our agendas in being great moms. So I'd love to just take a moment and to just bless this moment and say a little prayer. Just go ahead and close your eyes and take a deep breath in. And I ask that all of our angels and the Divine Father and Mother Earth gift us with many, many, many blessings so that we can hold this opportunity of motherhood in the highest and be all that it is we are called to be with this purpose. Yes, that our hands be blessed and to continue to have the ability to touch and to heal with kindness. That our lips be blessed, that we can continue to speak and to love from a sacred, pure space of authenticity and truth. And then our eyes be blessed so that they can see the beauty in all circumstances, especially through the eyes of our children and with our own journey as a mom. As we breathe into this space, I hope that each of you are ignited with a new momentum, inspiration, and purpose, and that you are filled with all of the ingredients that you need to allow that beautiful energy come to fruition. Let's take a nice deep breath in. And as you exhale, open your eyes into this new space and light. And allow those beautiful eyes to see with that gorgeous beauty that your heart radiates. Thank you so much for choosing to be a mom and to choosing to do so with such grace and honor. I hope each of you have a beautiful and blessed Mother's Day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Peace, ladies.
Bye.
We're always here in this inner circle. Thank you so much for gathering with me today and speaking easy with love.